And go for it. Welcome to 10th of December 2015 Change the Future Open Strategy Meeting.
Hello.
We've got 4 of us, and most of us are hiding. Some of us are hiding. There's a person over there. That's his face. So we're Thursday today instead of Wednesday, just a one-off. And we have Liz taking minutes. So yeah, like don't feel like you have to note down everything. Sort of the most important sort of key things, I would say, and also feel very, very free to push for clarity. If something doesn't make sense to you, it probably doesn't make sense to other people. So you are well within your rights to be like, there's all this nonsense. To still listen to something, and also action points as well, because that's my favourite thing personally in minutes. Usually, it's like just looking back and seeing things people have said. I'll lead that thing. Yeah. All right, cool. So we've got a minute taker already. So anyone up for facilitating?
What does facilitating involve?
Basically,
yeah, going through the agenda. Is that what it is?
Pretty much just stopping us from rambling on aimlessly. So it involves looking at the agenda and saying, "Shall we move on?" Yeah.
Okay. I can give it a go.
Just pretty straightforward, I think. Yeah, and just mostly making me shut up, I think, is always a bonus.
And
yeah.
who is it that keeps an eye on the time? Is that everyone, or is that someone's?
Yeah, mostly facilitator. So we would, I guess, you'd invite us to like say if we need to be finished by a particular time. Like, is one person going to nip off, or do we all want to sort of normally would finish like 9:30?
Okay.
So it's already sort of coming on 8:30. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So,
and then I'll bring the agenda up on here. We won't be able to look at our faces.
Oh no.
Or we can maybe look at a tiny version of our faces if I press that. Mini.
Does it all have to be bullet pointed?
It would be great if it was, just so you should be able to just press enter. Huh? Yeah. So you should just be able to press enter and it creates a new bullet pointer.
Yeah.
You can use 2 fingers on here, huh? You don't need to.
I've got on my sheet that we can
Let me
use.
So if you just
I'm not sure I want to touch
here,
it.
you just use 2 fingers. It's a quick way
Is
of
it definitely
going up and down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're putting this timestamp in there,
used to
yeah?
work in
So
a
like
college,
2
So there's blue tack
minutes 50,
everywhere.
so that's 0
Probably is from that.
hours 1 minute.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So each
Yes,
bullet point begins
it
with
does,
the time.
yeah.
It's arduous, but it's so much nicer to go back through. It just means that people are 10 times more likely to actually use the minutes then. All right, so I'll just get the minutes up on here quickly. Here they are. So we are on the 10th of December, so that's here. That is our agenda. So we've already done the first few things, the opening things mostly. Confidently take us through. You've got it under control.
right. So just to be clear about my role, is basically just going to go through these bits and making sure it doesn't drag on or go off too many tangents.
Yeah, and also helping Liz to like just push for action points, like, because it's just easy to talk about something and us all be like, yeah, definitely that's a good idea, and then we move on to the next point, and it's like, you know, we've been doing this for a while, so we should also help recognise that. But it is easy, isn't it, just to be like, yeah, we all agree, move on, and then it's like, but we haven't actually.
So even if the action point's like, we're going to stop talking about this now and talk about it again next week, just so we know that that was kind of the.
Yeah, or we're just going to drop this, or you're going to phone that person, or okay, yeah, it just means I have to pick up that thing from the place or book that event or whatever.
Okay.
It is indeed. Yeah.
Right. So, what is CTF?
It's a network of projects and people that make those projects happen, who agree to the same way of working. So no one does anything that's big without everyone else knowing about it and having an opportunity to chip in their ideas and potentially object as well. And that way we can be the way communities should be, schools, cities, organisations, all of that stuff. Together we're just trying to create a model for what communities should be more like, I think, and trying to be open while we do it and share the story of what we're doing, invite others to get involved and also collaborate with other groups that are doing this.
Okay, cool.
So that, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think
that sounds pretty good. I can't tell that you haven't said that a few times in several different ways at all. But,
yeah, I never say it the same way twice. It's like my unintended rule.
So, who are we and how are we? Shall I start?
Yeah, mate,
start.
definitely.
Maybe I should get on screen. I'm Nairu, and I'm kind of just a wanderer at the moment. Not going to be here in Brighton very long, but I'm glad to hook up with Luke and CTF and hopefully be a part of it one day soon later. And how am I? I'm pretty good actually. A bit hot, but otherwise good.
Oh,
Have a voice.
I'm very interested in what this is all about, but I don't know much about it, so I'm here to learn.
Cool, you are definitely learning by doing. First day in a strategy meeting, taking minutes. Thank you so much. I'm Luke. I've been involved in it for quite a long time. Me and Charlie, sort of a mate of mine, founded it yonks ago, and it feels ever clearer and more inspiring, I think, and more realistic as well. How am I? I'm pretty good. I'm feeling sort of more chilled and sort of spacious than normal, which is really nice. And with my head inside ChangeTheFuture at the moment, I feel very much like it feels like leadership, feels like there's leadership emerging, bubbling up from people, and it's not just me kind of towing the line and stuff, which is good because it makes me happy. That's what I want to be part of. So I'm feeling good, strong, and nice.
Cool. I'm Sarah. I'm relatively new, but very enthusiastic about ChangeTheFuture. I'm still discovering what I would like from it, to be honest. So I don't really know how to answer that, but I'm feeling quite relaxed today. That's probably what I'm going to say.
Fantastic. I suppose I need to ask what LHF stands for.
Oh, that's my initials.
Oh,
it's
right.
just so agenda points, like you know who to go to for them.
Okie dokie. So,
N, is that you? Where is it?
I thought it was Emily.
Who's LHF? Luke Hillary Flake.
new process idea. Each person invited to say one short sentence on what they'd like to leave with from this meeting.
I just felt a real need for more processes in ChangeTheFuture. Less action and more processes. So I just thought, I was just clutched at straws desperately, and I just thought maybe it'd be nice in our strategy meetings, because it's nice to experiment with processes a bit as long as they aren't just like completely for the sake of it. And I thought genuinely it could be quite nice to just one short sentence, nothing more. I think it might be nice to just say, what do we want to leave this meeting with, and go around just. Yeah, literally one short sentence.
Have you, on the other end of the meeting, what I've been taking from, if anything, from this meeting?
A sort of like a check out kind of thing.
Yeah.
We haven't done really a check out before.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Okay.
If you want to propose it.
Yes, I'd like to propose it.
Do you want to do it as well as that?
Yeah, why not? I think that's,
I'm up for it.
Yeah.
Good to acknowledge these.
It's a sort of quick check out I would like, but yeah, I'm definitely totally up for experimenting.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to leave from this meeting is, well, I came here actually because I wanted to just touch base and kind of make myself known rather than a sort of unknown face from the internet kind of thing. And I'll be happy if that's all I achieve. I'm sure I'll achieve more, but yeah.
Oh, you're doing this.
Yeah, just if, I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to think for a moment, anything you would like to leave this meeting with taken away.
Well, I want to leave with more knowledge of what this is about and what it's can do and how it can help.
I would like to leave. I'd like to leave with the feeling that people have got something out of it, whether it's clarity, just people's needs have been met. First of all, identified, because it's much easier to meet them when you identify them. I think that's what we're doing this second, and then meeting them. And my personal needs, or interests, I guess, are sort of very much related to these points. I'd love to get some feedback on some things, some clarity on some things, bounce some ideas, and get some permission to do things. And maybe a bit of help as well. So yeah, pretty much my things. Hopefully those items will make sense.
Why would you need permission to do things?
Because that's how we work. We work democratically. We work with consensus rather than Luke thought it was a good idea to spend £1,000 on getting drunk with 3 people from ChangeTheFuture in Honolulu.
You might actually get consensus for that.
Yeah, well, we're invited, then yeah.
Consensus, definitely.
Everyone in the room is invited.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to pass on the question because I don't really know how to answer it, so I'm not going to force it. If that's okay. Yeah.
That's fine with me. Yeah.
What's that? Oh, there's a person. Yes. No, there's not. Oh, that's your phone.
Yeah, I'm
It just made me realise you should probably be checking that there's.
I'm just silencing it because otherwise we feel like we're being attacked by Daleks.
Okay.
Not far from
Let's.
the truth.
I'll turn the volume up on it so we should hear people when they do. I'd say it's very likely that at least one person will join us at some point.
Okay, so updates from circles and any other news.
So, the only circle I really know of is the Working Retreat Circle, which is on there.
It's about the only really active.
Yeah, okay, cool. The Working Retreat Circle met last week and came up with a proposal which has been on Lumio for a week, which was to have a sort of one-day connecting day really for everyone involved in ChangeTheFuture that's able to make it and wants to kind of meet each other and explore why they want to be part of ChangeTheFuture and ask other people the same thing. So yeah, we made that proposal, which I think did it get 4?
I'm just on it here, just screen sharing. So there's a record. Yeah, so we had the first proposal and then the second one, which closed a day ago. Yeah, so the Get Connected one.
Yeah.
That is it.
And we've got 4 agreeing.
Yeah. But at least we put this one in the right place. So yeah, we put this proposal in the main ChangeTheFuture group rather than just in our hidden little subgroup where only us lot in the circle see it.
So I believe the action that was going to come from that, as long as no one objected to it, was it Jem was going to do what's it called, the date thing? Doodle.
Oh, okay.
Doodle
Yeah.
poll? Yeah.
So
I think that
actually,
was one
yeah.
of the actions from the thing.
So it doesn't look like a proposal outcome has been set, and it's neat that Lumio invites you to set one. So
yeah.
maybe do you think Jem's happy to do that? Maybe he can set the outcome.
We came out with 3 things, didn't we? The first thing was that Greg was going to put the proposal up, and then the other 2 things, which were contingent on agreement, were that you were going to try and source a venue, and that Jem was going to organise.
Yes, that's right.
Doodle poll.
This is
dates.
minutes gold.
Yeah. So can you say that again, then, please?
So the action points that came from the Working Retreat Circle, following agreement for the Get Connected Working Retreat proposal, were for Luke to explore venue options
And that's Brighton, isn't it?
in Brighton.
Yeah, 'cause it's just one day. It's not an
Day.
overnight thing.
No.
Cool. So just like a comfortable, spacious place.
Yeah,
Let's
I
not
think
skimp
so.
out. I don't think I'm going to
No.
look at places that may cost a bit of money. I'll look for free ones, but
Yeah.
might cost a bit.
Yeah.
I'll propose whatever I think.
Yeah.
I'll take a level of autonomy with it, but I'll propose rather than just press buttons.
And then Jem Tyler was going to, it's with a J, was going to do a doodle poll on, is it called doodle poll?
Yeah, doodle. Yeah.
Okay.
To select
For
a date.
dates in January.
Yeah.
Cool. Is everything for that?
Yes.
Right.
So now, do we need to poke Jem? Do you think, or
Maybe.
shall I just? I'll bosh him a text at the end of this meeting. That's an action point.
Bosh.
Just to get that
Right.
rolling. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
It's
is
like
that
so
boss
often,
as in the-
I'll send him a text
Yeah.
at the end of the meeting.
Or just Luke to remind Jem.
Don't know if we forget that at the end of the meeting.
Sarah to remind Luke to remind Jem.
Any more points from that? Maybe.
I think so.
Process idea. Should we, from now on, invite a support person to reach out to anyone who leads an action point, checking they've done it, whether they need help? It's got,
A friend of mine does accountability coaching, which is a job where I think he does it pay as you feel. So it's just like donations, and he just because he's part of a network of sort of social entrepreneurs and various people in sort of leadership networks and stuff. And he just literally phones them up and just says, what would you really like to get done sort of in the next day or week or whatever? And they tell him the things, and he just makes a note of them in some file or something. And then he just says, do you want me to check in with you when, like, in a week or something? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then he phones them up, and he just kind of plays it back, like what they said they wanted to do and how the ideas they had for doing it. And then if they haven't done a couple of them, just explore why they think they didn't manage to sort of pull it off. Did they put too much on their plate or what? So it's just an idea really, because I think sometimes stuff goes great in Change the Future. People take stuff on and they do it and it's brilliant. But then the reality is that often, you know, people are like, including totally me, probably more me than anyone, will like take stuff on, and I take too much on, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, maybe when somebody takes something on, it could just be a trigger for do you want someone to support you in that, or do you want a kind of person to check up with you that you done that all right, or like that you haven't dropped the ball on that or something. Maybe we don't want to, I don't know. But some people might find it patronizing, some might find it useful.
How can I note that?
I guess we haven't decided yet. Maybe it's best just to, maybe we don't need to until, because I mean, all we've said, I've just sort of framed the question so far, so I think we can.
So what was the question?
It's just in the item. It's just when somebody takes on an action point, do we want that to be a trigger basically for anyone else to say, do you want a hand doing that, or just to like check in with you in a couple of days to see if you managed to do it or want any help with it. An example, just to make it more realistic, is Esme a few weeks back took on an edit, and I think she did some work on it or something. It was editing the video of the Democracy Weekend that we helped organise. We did some stuff at the Synergy Centre, and then she wasn't able to do it. But I think quite often the reality is that people won't always necessarily have good communication and sort of say, oh, I'm struggling with this, or I need a thing, or I don't know what I need. It's just easy to kind of just go, oh shit, that thing, and it becomes a stressful thing in the back of your head. And I think that's not a culture that we should have. I don't think we should just have a culture of being honest and open, and if you can't do something, just vocalize it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it could help us to, some people sometimes, to just have a person who like checks in. I basically ended up checking in with her and just being like, I was that person even though she didn't ask for it. And I was like, are you okay with this? And she was like, actually no, I kind of I've just suddenly got really busy and I want to do it and I feel guilty and all this stuff. And I was like, it's all right, don't worry. And then Theo took it on.
Yeah, well, I think that sounds like a really good idea. Just having like someone who is there to, not efficiency, but not a secretary is the wrong word as well. But that does sound like just making sure things happen so that things can continue happening smoothly.
Like a focalizer.
Yeah, that does sound
good.
yeah.
For someone who just makes sure things get done.
Okay.
They don't necessarily do it themselves, but they make sure.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people, just by being asked the question, some people I think are just like, yeah, I just need like some coloured pens to like work on that banner and I don't know where to get them, and then it's like, oh, I've got some, mate. I'm like, oh, okay. Or I need some internet for a bit or something, or I just need to work out space to do this thing, and you're like, I know a space. And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's actually something I'd often be doing if I had my Wi-Fi and stuff. So it's a bit pointless comment at the moment, but yeah, I personally definitely agree with having that person or some sort of system in place to facilitate that.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. But I think you're right, you have to be careful that it's not, because some people won't want it. So maybe if we just build it into the way we work, that the question gets asked.
Yeah.
And then if someone says no for the moment, but if I knew later, then I would say, or whatever. So just to be aware of asking, I suppose. Okay.
So it sounds like it is approved as an experiment for ways we do meetings.
Yeah. So when an action point gets set, the option for should we call it a focalizer? I don't know.
I like that.
Call it, yeah.
I like using existing.
Okay.
If you want one existing, does it feel like, I don't know what it means, but it sounds like it's.
I like that.
Sort something gets done.
Yeah.
It's like an organizer, but without the hierarchical connotation.
Nice. Yeah, I know rainbow gatherings are very sort of self-organising. Everyone takes responsibility for that intentional community. So to turn that agreement into an action, don't know, maybe we could put it sort of at the top of, as part of the opening process bit, like in agendas, as part of the sort of template of the, before anything's added in that, like a kind of just mentioning
so whenever, but so essentially it's, I mean, I don't know, is it saying that whenever an action point is made, the question of focalize, do you want a focalizer arises every time? So I guess whoever's doing the minute taking.
There's only going to be probably usually a small handful of action points taken out of each meeting, I guess. So just as a sort of almost knee-jerk reaction, would you like a focalizer? Nah.
Because also it helps us also to have an awareness of making the action points as well, which
I
think we can do with having that focus as well.
Feels like a little bit more legitimization of action points. I feel like a tiny bit more ceremony almost.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. We happy with the action? You happy with it?
I think so.
So shall I? So Luke Flegg to add focalizer role into the meeting agenda sort of template document. So it's sort of at the top of
the document. That last bit again.
So I will add the focalizer role as to this Google Doc you're writing into these agenda and minutes documents.
Gee,
agenda and minutes before that. We're going to go so well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Are you going to be the focalizer?
I'm happy to volunteer.
So I guess an action point.
You think you can't focalize it?
Oh my god. Great. Okay. Okay, so I've got an action point, and so then I guess you mentioned the focalizer, right? Like just in brackets or whatever next to it. Cool. So let's just go.
So they are going to focalize this.
Yes.
Cool. I think it's nice, man. It's really nice. It's an excuse to phone someone and just keep it alive. I think involve more people. Anyway.
So are you happy to move on?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So next point is admin. Wait, do we just do this? Admin helper role. Is everyone happy to design this role for someone and seek out a candidate? So does anyone want to be the admin helper?
Yeah. Who was this? This was last meeting, I think. Greg and some people were like, what if we had an admin? I think we were all sort of involved, I think, in chatting about it, but we were like, increasingly more I was convinced, I guess, of something that I've been resistant to before, of Change the Future paying someone to do sort of administrative things. I won't lie, it probably was partly inspired by my pretty bad track record of like creating Facebook groups and notifying people, and sort of when a meeting like today has sort of moved to another day, making sure that people know about it. Like poor Bryn and Stefan for a start have come to the office like not knowing that, you know, and Tim's in at least once, I think, like, especially people who are not on Facebook if they're sort of on a different. So to someone who's just especially routine, repetitive kind of task, I mean that sounds way worse than it is when actually it's just like create a Facebook group for an event, make sure people know it's happening. Simple sort of things, like even this Google Doc template, it's just a, you know, once a month we create a new Google Doc, and it's got this cunning, hopefully, sort of layout to it that we're always improving. Simple little, I suppose, mostly techie related things, but not necessarily. I think I find tech quite easy, so I'm kind of probably thinking about the more techie things. But anyway, the point is, it could really help us to have a person who really reliably sort of does these things and make sure people know what's going on and stuff sort of organised. Yeah, and so actually, you guys probably won't know this, but maybe, but Change the Future is actually already experimenting with paying people. So it's December, I think it's £6 an hour now. That Change the Future is paying people for, and the only requirement to earn money from Change the Future is do something that's been agreed by the group and clock your time. So rather than just saying I worked for 10 hours, like actually clocking it. So we've got a system for doing that. So if you're curious, like talk to me about that. But it's just an experiment, and we could try it a different way or drop the idea completely or whatever. But we're still experimenting with that. So I think about 5 people have used this website to clock time doing something that was agreed. And I think it feels valuable, it feels interesting. It'd be really nice actually to maybe another time like do a little reflection on it and see how it's been going. I haven't been clocking time because I changed the future already. Pays for this office space I use for video editing stuff, and I work too many hours anyway as well on Change the Future. Yes.
Actually, I mean, yeah, to have full scope of the reason why this idea came up, but actually, I agree with it in any case. Like, I feel like most organisations can benefit from having someone who's there just to make sure all the bits of information are in the right place, everyone knows what they need to know.
That's a secretary.
Yeah, like that basically. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing that myself when I get myself set up. I mean, I'd actually, personally, not that that's right now, I'd actually volunteer to do that myself if I, don't need me to be paid for find somewhere to sleep and eat. But, that's my thing. I like doing that. But yeah, as an action point.
So I guess first action point feels like it would be to design the role.
Create some clarity around.
I'm happy to do that in different ways. I'm aware that my sort of default, well, doing my sort of instinctive way of doing it is like openly and collaboratively using like a Google Doc, which anyone can edit and anyone can see. And I think of groups like Teal for Startups and countless, like loads of people who would be really interested, I think, in seeing that, because there's so many groups out there with sort of similar ambitions to change the future, to sort of create a model community, like what organisations should be, charities should be more like. Everyone knows what's going on, everyone shapes what's going on. So yeah, all these questions about like having an admin role is like super relevant, I think, to a lot of people. And I'm always thinking, how can we sort of share the questions we're carrying and take in insight and wisdom and sort of share our insight and wisdom as we accumulate it. So yeah, so defining the role, there'll probably be that sort of 5, 10 simple-ish, pretty simple sort of jobs in there, and we just sort of go, that doesn't need to happen, get rid of that, you know, and then we go, cool, so sort of roughly how many hours is that? Do we want to give a bit of leeway if it takes a bit longer one other day? And then, yeah.
Can I have a question? Does the role necessitate it to be someone that's physically at meetings? Well, not necessarily physically, but that attends them. Because if you're the person in charge, for example, of the minutes and all that stuff, do you need to be the one that writes them? Or, I don't know, do you need to be there?
Yeah, that's the question. Would they be like the minute taker?
Because like when dates change, say for example you're not here so we can't use this office, it needs to be someone that actually knows that, so that knows you and probably sees you or at least speaks to you. Or so I'm just wondering if that's I don't know how important that is or not.
So whether they'd sort of need to be at meetings, I guess, because we've got minutes, we've got really easy to navigate, like time-stamped minutes. We've got the video, like people can just go through the bullet points if they want to see the full conversation, jump straight to the bit of the video. They're not going to miss a thing, you know, if they feel like there is something that needs to be covered and they are like the admin person after all.
So it's not necessary, is it? Or, I don't know.
Yeah, not really, I don't think so. I think it'd be, at the end of the day, with things like this, I generally kind of just think it's pioneering and curious and experimental, and even if it doesn't work, we might find out of it comes a new idea that is useful. Yeah. So let's try it.
There's something to be said for taking like good practice from previous models, though, I think. I mean, even from business, you know, even though the kind of overall ethos of most business from most of the past wouldn't be something that you'd want to imitate, that doesn't mean to say there aren't practices that might be useful.
I think it'd be so good for us lot to go, like a bunch of us, whoever wants to, like to go and actually sit in on some, maybe not just meetings, but like go out and see what other groups are doing, like permaculture groups, sort of education groups, like really get under their skin and see how they do stuff. Like I've done that a tiny bit with woodcraft folk, which is sort of a bit like the Scouts movement. Yeah, because I'm in general council with them, so I sort of see. Yeah, I see. I'm involved in their sort of meetings and strategic stuff, but then also working with the kids in the actual groups.
Cool.
I used to do loads. I haven't done.
Oh, we're going off a tangent.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, we're going off a tangent. So, do we need to add anything to the admin helper role?
So we're just action pointing that you're going to start a Google document. Is that?
Yeah, I can start a Google document.
People
to define what this admin role is. I think that could be quite fun.
Yeah.
Because I think partly it's like, it's not so much that it's boring stuff to do, it's just boring to not know whether you're doing it right and to kind of possibly do it wrong.
Yeah.
Or do something that somebody else has already done and you're undoing their work or stepping on their toes. Or so yeah, I think if someone actually had that role and they knew really what it entailed and were getting paid for it, you know, like roughly minimum wage.
I think that's under the minimum wage. 6 quid is under.
So it goes up £1 every month. That was part of the experiment.
What, forever?
So, until we
I'll do it in 10 years'
time. That'll be like a death match for it in like 20 years.
So on the action point, you need a fertilizer.
Yeah, go on. You could. Do you want to be the fertilizer?
Yes, I will be your fertilizer.
Okay, so I've got one fertilizer for that. That's nice. Cool. Hello. How you doing, man?
Good.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, this is very rainbow here.
Cool. We're just in the middle of things, but go make yourself a cup of tea and relax and chill. Yeah.
So people online say
no one's with us online actually. We're just in person, but we're still recording and minute taking and stuff. But yeah.
future people online.
All the future people.
Yeah.
I'm a past person.
We're ready to move on now?
Yeah, I think so. Should we rewind to just the who are we bit, just the Bryn to say his thing? You want to? Should we do that?
Yeah, sure. Who are you and how are you?
I'm okay. I'm the same as I was before. Yeah, I'm interested in changing the future. Yeah. Yeah, especially I think everything should become cooperative and engaged. And if people are disengaged, we're just saying people own things and people don't own things. Yeah, it's difficult, but just got to do talking to each other more, and these are good ways to do it, I suppose.
Was it Bryn?
It's Bryn, yeah.
I'm Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
I'm Naya.
I'm Liz. We have met. We met at the 8th Grade Gathering in 2010.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh, super. It's actually on the street.
We've been talking about Vocalizer role in Rainbow.
Is it one?
You haven't been to enough gatherings. Well, we started using that concept.
Right, so seeking 1 or 2 Brightonians to explore committing 5 or more hours a week to getting democracy space off the ground. Anyone interested?
Yeah, I stuck that on there and don't actually necessarily need it anymore because we've already got about 8 people or so who've expressed an interest in democracy space, which I might as well summarise is another Change the Future project. The vision is to get hold of a physical space, a big, yummy physical space in central Brighton that is completely free or pay as you feel for the local community to use, to really come together to reimagine and reclaim democracy, to reclaim the word from something boring and really easy to disengage from to something, whatever we want democracy to be. And I'm not going to define the word. I want to help to create a space where we can come together and explore how we can surely have more voice, more influence in things that we know about and care about most in Brighton, and find ways of bringing more humanity into the democratic process and make it more inclusive, it's more fun, more connective between different projects that are working towards democratic innovation in Brighton and beyond. Like how can they speak to each other better? I think as soon as you have space, it's a lot easier to do stuff.
I think that's it. That's the key, is getting the space first and then the people.
Sorry to interrupt. So the Synergy Centre.
Yeah, Synergy Centre has a pretty similar mission to that. It's also kind of like a performance venue. So yeah, I know Steve Peake very well. Change the Future collaborated on this sort of democracy event thing that was partly there as well. It will be a bit different to Synergy Centre, but I think there's a shortage of spaces like this anyway, you know, and they're all going to have different kinds of vibes. Democracy space, I imagine being mostly different because the space will feel very, I would like it to be very much self-organising as a space. I want the way it comes into being to be democratic in and of itself. Synergy Centre was not that. There's definitely undeniably a degree of hierarchical structure in the Synergy Centre, and of course there'd be a core team who sort of really closely hold the vision of democracy space and take a lot of responsibility and commitment to make sure it happens. But you know, anyone in the town will be able to, for example, do things such as perhaps go onto a web page and propose ideas for what happens in the space, build on each other's ideas, vote on them, and you can see, you know, you've got the space for free all of Thursday afternoon because 27 people voted for it. You know, this sort of thing, and loads of arts installations constantly in there. Like people will walk in and fucking own the space. It's theirs. It's not like you can use my space. And I haven't seen that anywhere.
So maybe each time there's a new meeting in the space. I mean, maybe there's a little local group that maybe have quite a different character due to the fact that it's a group of people that are local to some area, and they might want to come in and sort of engage with the experience, but also keep their own local character and not feel overwhelmed. So that for that meeting, it might well be completely different type of philosophy and so on for that evening, because these people have come along and not feeling that they're stuck in the ways of
it's so hard. I was chatting to Huda from and Melanie Stevens from Public Eye and the other night at a seedbed dinner, and we were talking about how hard it is to create a space that is really inclusive. Like, you can't really create a space that's totally inclusive because people are just so different, and conflict is so within an arm's reach, especially in our
keep their exclusions with them. People are used to feeling excluded from spaces that aren't theirs, and it's hard to
exclude ourselves, let alone get excluded.
Maybe the criteria should be that it's inclusive for everyone who is inclusive. So like only those who are willing to let everyone else be inclusive will be included, and then that excludes people who are going to exclude.
Well, but if you took that to a further a further extreme, then people who didn't like immigrants wouldn't be allowed to vote then, because they would be people that wanted to be excluded, so they wouldn't get a vote. So that's a little anti-democratic in a way as well.
It's a bit of a kind of paradox as well, isn't it? Because you are kind of excluding somebody, so you're guilty of the thing that you're.
Yeah, in fact you are. If you say you're going to exclude only the excluders,
you're kind of only
it's a tricky one.
I wouldn't.
There's a bit of a philosophical conundrum in that, isn't there?
It would be nice, I think it'd be nice to be able to try and include the excluders, but
but then the problem is some people will deliberately disrupt a thing like that. The more and I found that in any.
Well, I think for each meeting would need to be inclusive, wouldn't it? Since you'd have the principle that no one could be excluded from the meeting. But people might want to come to the meeting who have an agenda they want to exclude people from this country, for example. So, but maybe they'd be open to them being in the meeting to talk about it at least, hopefully.
So just moving on. Does that mean that the Quora part is that you've written in there? Looking for approval to reach out to Quora.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's me being a bit messy. That is actually a quite different point, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I sort of nested it inside that one. It is actually, I think that's quite different. So to basically with the democracy space thing, like if you're really interested in being involved in that, I think it's going to require a bit of time. Like I've really taken a look at my commitments and try to be realistic about how much time it's going to take for me to really contribute to making democracy space happen, and I've cut some ties and created some capacity for it. So I think if there's other people who are genuinely interested in exploring, like serious involvement in it, then like talk to me. I'm also partly interested in my relationship with it being quite different, because it's actually not my original idea. It's Dr. Andy Williamson from Democratise and Tilly Murday from the Democratic Society kind of collaborated on bringing it where it is now, with a website and a sort of big white paper sort of thing about it. And I'm just sold by the idea and them as people, and so I want to work with them. And yeah, just sort of focus on one focused big thing for a while. So yeah, find me if you're interested. That's the main thing I want to minute. I think find Luke if interested in making democracy space happen. Because we don't want to like be closed in a basement and do it, but like at the same time, I think we do want people with some capacity.
Sure. So next point is send out Hangouts link well in time where folks can find it.
Where is that?
Number 7 here.
Oh yeah.
There's the
Can I
stats.
just check that what that other point was about Quora? What's I like? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I've had this idea for quite a while about there's an amazing website called Quora, which is for any person to ask any question, and it is very cunningly designed to get your question answered by people who know about that question and care about that question.
Oh.
It's like Yahoo Answers, but not shit. And it's a place of real, like, beautiful human curiosity, scientific, like, humanistic, all sorts of things. Ask the most obscure question on and you'll probably get loads of answers, really good ones. It's beautiful. So I thought, in a way, isn't every human collaboration actually exploring questions? Like, if Change the Future is exploring anything from as broad as how can we help to create a more intelligently self-governed society to, I don't know, it's the model for like fun, insightful, effective self-governing, the same for a bunch of 5 people in a little charity or movement, the same sort of model and sort of general structure as a whole city. Can you just sort of scale it up? Or, and maybe it will sometimes just be like, what kind of table should we get that's suitable for sort of big discussions around the table or whatever? Like, who should we want an ethical bank or something? Who should we bank with? And I thought Quora maybe it's got beautiful potential for connecting organisations through the questions that they're exploring, the challenges that they're tackling. So it might, there might be a local one as well. It could be geographical. But like Brighton, I want to see groups in Brighton and what questions are being tackled by, not individuals but organisations. Yeah, like on Facebook, you can comment as Luke Flegg, or you can't, but or like Change the Future or whatever. So you can change your identity. So this would be like an extension to that web platform. But then you can say Change the Future is exploring how to, like, what empty spaces exist in Brighton that might potentially be usable for something like democracy space. And there might be 10 other local organisations doing that as well. Yeah. And sometimes one of them might already have a whole list. Mate, we've done this a year ago. We've got them all. Why don't you just ask? Now you can. Yeah. Or let's chop it up and you do a bit of it, we'll do a bit of it. Let's fucking work together. So it feels like it's a very simple way using existing technology and actually through collaboration itself, not creating a new tool, reinventing the wheel. But so yeah, jumping to the point is I wanted approval from Change the Future to reach out sort of semi-formally, I guess, to Quora to say, I'm contacting you like formally on behalf of Change the Future to explore options about how you might add this feature to Quora and potentially even explore how we can support that to happen. And maybe we can, what feature? This feature for allowing organisations to add questions and connect to each other through similar questions that they're exploring. Like, how might we?
No, I think that's very good. Just put my I definitely would say go for it.
If it's also worth me just very quickly doing a screen share just to show Quora, just so we've got a.
I haven't noticed it around though. I just haven't paid it much attention because.
So here you go. Here's a question. What are some interesting startups in the education space? So if I'm interested in this question, I can re-ask it, and that means that it gets like re-echoed out through my networks on Quora. It's got just genius features. So there's loads of details about the question. It's got over 100 answers. This one is at the top of the list of answers because they've been upvoted. So you can see here it says that's been upvoted already by 57 people.
So it goes further up the page near the top if people like it.
So the second answer in the list has got 14 people have upvoted it. You can downvote it as well. And yeah, it's just nice you can comment on. You can sort of discuss people's answers. If you say, "I love your answer," but relate it to other questions is interesting. By topic, you can. And also you can click, I was imagining you could click on an organisation, not a person, but an organisation like Change the Future and see a list of all their questions that they're exploring. Like how might we be more inclusive or diverse in who's involved in the project? How might
already for people? You can click on each person and see what.
Yeah. So that's the thing, like, there's a lot of existing technology that feels like it could kind of build upon. It would just allow you to have a second account. Oh, there's a lot. There's got to be over 1 million using it.
Wow.
Like, and a fascinating thing to do is put in
300,000 people seeing that question. Like, what are interesting startups in the space?
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of people using it.
So if you like search refugee, for example, there's a whole topic on refugees inside which you can see questions. So these are like the top sort of most interesting questions, supposedly, and sort of top writers. So this writer writes about refugee-related issues and questions a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's like if I put something like democratic schools in there, it's quite a niche thing. It's interesting to see other people's curiosities around that topic.
You asked Quora if you put the question on there, if they're having to update it with features for organisations.
Yeah. Oh, well, like, I put that as a question.
Yeah.
I think I did something like that. I did put, would it be useful to have a feature like this? Yeah. Mine thinks similarly. But I just think Quora staff don't see every question because there's only 10,000 on there every day. So yes, like it'd be sort of formally reaching out to them, I think. Can I change the email address?
I've lost where the time thing is.
Okay.
I haven't got rid of it. It's just that I don't know where it is.
How many more things are there?
1, 3, 7, and 12:15. Let's go over that. Although, who's ST gonna be?
ST. Interesting. What's the thing?
1, 7.
White cat.
I just happened to click that so that I could see Quora for myself.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I think maybe that's
When I
someone
got rid of it,
online. I'm not sure
Okay.
either.
things gone.
Maybe white cat is the symbol. Don't know.
I'm sorry if I
We haven't got
No,
any
it's
of
get
those.
like
0 viewers.
We're most way through the meeting now.
No, he's
We've only
in
got
on
an hour left or so.
this
That's fine. I think it's just gone. I don't know what else we can do to sort of. So, yeah.
Right. Well, I won't be able to join a video call with you for Quora, but I'll put in my voice for approval. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, me too.
Nice. Well, I'll take that as an action point then. That might be good to minute that to remind myself to contact Quora and suggest this new feature to them and ask them if we can help them with it somehow. Like maybe even funding. I honestly think like Change the Future could become like a sort of incubator for projects potentially. That could be an arm of what we do. So we've demonstrated this portfolio of awesome projects, all of ideas, democracy space, different collaborations, events that we do. Yeah, trust us, give us dosh. We'll seed invest it into, cross-pollinating and ideas like collaborations between us and other projects, between other collaborations with other organisations that we think's awesome, that we want to put some test funding into.
Facilitating all of the other projects. The project.
Yeah. Just feeding the vision of more effective human collaboration.
Yeah. That sounds good. Cool. Okay, then if we're happy with that, White Cat or ST action point, send out Hangouts link well in time where folks can find it. That happened, right?
That's Stefan, I think.
Okay.
Mr. Penguin. Yeah, I think we're pretty good about it actually today. I think. But I mean, especially if we have an admin person, that sort of thing will be like smooth as clockwork.
So can you summarise what you just said?
I don't even. I don't know that definitely needs to be minted, or it could be. It's just yeah. Well, I mean,
it happened.
it's a statement, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just Stefan saying, let's get the video call link out, in a timely manner, early in both the places it needs to be. Maybe it's worth minuting that the video call link gets posted on the Facebook event page and in the Facebook workforce group. There is a problem with that because not everyone uses Facebook, and we are quite shit, I think, at the whole not using Facebook thing. It's like for a project that's so interested in inclusivity, there's a lot of people who are not as involved as I think they would be if so yeah.
So yeah, it's need a platform then that, or a couple of platforms that does connect to everyone, and then would need an admin person to chase all that out. Maybe just doing it by emails, or have an email list, and when it's coming out, for the same information gets sent out.
Even that's limited in terms of inclusivity, because not everybody uses email today.
But I guess if they want to join a video call, they're going to be at a computer, and oh man, emails. Surely everyone's got.
Using Google
I
Hangouts.
can think of some old ladies and maybe that or something,
but they wouldn't join the video call probably. We'd need to cater for them in a totally different way anyway, I suppose. Either help them to somehow get here, or have it at their house, even if they're passionate and they, want to. I'd be up for that potentially.
There's also using the Google Hangouts. Does it get posted onto Google Circles?
It literally goes onto YouTube. So if you go onto YouTube now and you put in Change the Future, one word, especially if you put in Change the Future strategy, you will get all of our strategy meetings since forever.
Okay, that's a long time. Right. Okay, all right then. Happy with that then.
So what should I put for that?
Summarise it. I mean, it's really still just. Sorry, I'm talking way too much. It's just.
That's right.
I wouldn't wouldn't put anything.
Thanks.
Is that all right? Yeah, cool.
GM. Idea about how Luke and Sarah will bring back their art of hosting learning to CTF.
Not one, Greg.
Nice, thanks, Greg. This is news to me. What does that mean? I don't really understand.
Art of hosting learning.
Yeah, so we went on a training course thing about processes of communication. I don't know how to even describe it really. But what's Greg trying to say?
It feels like just a decent bit of accountability sort of thing. We went to the thing, this awesome event. What do we want to bring back? We sort of talked about bringing something back to the group, and I don't feel like I've particularly brought much sort of visible stuff back. I definitely feel like it's changed how I am a bit, and sort of understand things. And I think the lessons I've learned from art of hosting personally will be visible if people are looking hard enough. In forever in me, spaces and working retreats and stuff. I think the most sort of tangible, visible outcome of it that we've applied has probably been in the working retreat circles, when we've used the art of hosting sort of process template to work out needs and goals and approaches, and it's just like a pretty sort of drawing that it just structures a conversation and makes it productive. And we've used that a bit. I don't know,
It's art of hosting that prompted us in that circle to strip things right back when talking about working retreats, to actually realising that we needed to get connected first before we then even ask the question, what is Change the Future and what do we want from it? So that's why we almost stripped right back. And I'd say that's also as a result of art of hosting.
Too many assumptions almost, I think, probably mostly for me. It's kind of there'll always be new people jumping on board this vehicle of change, So what do? We keep rewinding back to the beginning for every new person that jumps on board? Like, no. So what, we assume that they care about what we're doing, that they feel seen and understood, and that they'll just muck in? Also, no. So we need to find some kind of compromise that actually is a really important question that we could be exploring on something like corporate collaboration, for example. But it's an important question that's relevant to loads of this new generation of self-organising projects, I think. Like, how do we be open and invite new people from all kinds of places?
So I'd have hosting help with that somehow.
I think a little. I don't think it was like sort of waved the magic wand and like made everything suddenly become clear. But I think it was an event that was a 3-day residential event, all about, like Sarah said, sort of good conversational spaces, generative conversation spaces where people go deep into the real sort of root and motivation of collaboration.
Yeah, I missed that. I'm good.
Yeah, oh man. Yeah, I think if there's so much to miss on the workforce group, it's hard to sort of see things, but everything will be on there.
Was that connected to that last Friday night at Oliver? Was that something similar?
No, it was unrelated. Okay. It was up in like Hampshire. But yeah, so ChangeTheFuture paid for like 3 of us. Actually, I don't think Greg asked for any money from that. But yeah, and we went for like 3 days about a month ago or so. It was juicy.
Well, let me know next time. These trips of being offline, sometimes can always catch up.
So this is a kind of thing where what you've learned from it will kind of go into ongoing stuff rather than it's something you can actually teach back.
Yeah,
which is fine. Just making that clear.
Yeah,
pretty much. I think if there is anyone in ChangeTheFuture who's like, I thought you were going to like hold a workshop on art posting and teach us all it or something like that, then fair enough. Like, I'm happy to explore that, but I think I don't want to assume that people are that keen.
So can we read all about it?
Yeah, I mean, we can, like, if anyone's interested, maybe just like chat to us. Is that too informal? Like, if it feels like there's a consensus that we want to try and hold some sort of activity where we like actually turn up at a place at a time and like try and redo some activity or something, I'd be potentially up for trying that. But otherwise, if people are just happy to just chat to me and Sarah and Greg about it, like, yeah, maybe at the connecting with each other thing in January, or just phone us up or something, contact us. Otherwise, just trust that it will feed in. And look out for other opportunities which are open to everyone to join. Because I think at the same time, we also don't want to have a culture, I think, of ChangeTheFuture funding people to go to awesome things in a way that sort of creates a burden of like, oh, now I've got to like come back and hold like a whole fucking workshop and teach everyone all the things I've learned, sort of thing. I mean, if that agreement sort of set out in advance, it was like £1,000 sort of sociocracy week in Romania or something, then maybe be like a 1-day sort of share your learnings thing. But
that sounds very reasonable. You have to got there.
What do you want me to put?
So the point was, how will you guys bring the outposting learning to CTF? And I guess the answer would be you feed it in as you go along.
yeah.
Oh, actually, I've made a note of it. I've got discussion passing on the information from posting possibly and connecting them. I've put also other learning things.
If people want something, ask for it. Like, if you want us three to, one of us or some of us to like put on some kind of trying to teach some art posting stuff or whatever, just ask for it. Like, otherwise we're going to assume that we're trusted to feed it in somehow.
So the next one is, well, you've got a load of documents that you'd like some feedback on, Luke. So do we want to get these open and have a look through them?
Not with, I don't think especially for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like just just to tantalise people with all my exciting document writing. These are some things that did in my 14-hour stint in this office.
Have you looked at them since?
Yeah, I think so.
Do it make sense? Okay.
I'm just screen sharing and bringing these up. But these, I want to make it really clear that these are just me kind of thinking aloud, basically, but wanting to do so in a really open way. I think, I don't know if it was me or Greg, we're having a conversation, we use the word hatchling for sort of like ideas that can look like proposals, and they're really definitely not. This is just a sort of a half-baked just thinking that we clearly need at some point to have a change the future vision and way of working. That is the glue that brings together the community of people in this project, right? Where we go, you're quite autonomous within the democracy space stuff, you're autonomous group in the or circle in the wall of ideas stuff, but like what brings us together is not just our sort of events and seeing each other's faces and things, but it's also like values, and more than that, a kind of slightly more specific way that we actually work. Like we don't do stuff that people in the group are passionately against, you know. So this is just hashing out some ideas for what that kind of agreement sort of could look like. We're collaborative, representative. We work for the flourishing of nature, which sounds possibly hippie to some people. I think it's awesome, and it's kind of explained in more detail there.
So is it almost like the beginnings of a constitution?
Perhaps, yeah, which Rob Carney I really recognise has put a lot of time into, and it probably feeds off of some of that, and other people who sort of contributed to that. I guess this is maybe a shorter version that's a bit more sort of designed to be engaging primarily, but like you could sort of they're kind of like 6 qualities of Change the Future's way of working together.
So are you inviting people to look at it, engage with it, and see
it? Yeah. So what's the most useful way of me sort of linking to these? There's other ones here as well.
So the links on the agenda and minutes, they're going to be posted in.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I'll just summarise them so we've looked at that one. This one is what do you want to know about Change the Future? So just trying to make it as simple and easy and inviting as possible for people to be curious about the project. So this is where people can add their own questions about the project and really ask anything at all. And the most recent one was from Aaron Leconte. What have you achieved so far? And also, how long has this project been going for? So I've put my answers, but trying not to speak as Change the Future, because I'm not Change the Future, I'm just Luke. So that's why it's got this sort of format of these are the sort of blank ones. Anyone can ask any question and anyone can answer as well. And then we can sort of discuss. And I know there's no sort of like smart way of kind of going, Sarah answered John's question and everyone agrees with Sarah's answer. Or maybe Bryn put a slightly different answer and everyone resonates a bit more with Bryn's answer or something. But yeah, it doesn't need to be that formal, I think. It's just like, let's invite simple curiosity and simple responses. That feels like a good starting place to just dip toes in. Yeah, I would encourage people to put questions in there. 3 out of 4. This is yeah.
That sounds like that might be a good. Because the question earlier had is what is it the people that are coming in to Change the Future? There needs to be almost an interactive process that they need to go through. It could almost be fairly much automated by giving them certain files or whatever to get themselves up, to get them up to speed of what it is and how they can engage with it. And I guess that would be different people at different learning styles, wouldn't it? But what you're just saying there seems like a fairly useful.
How do you feel
first intro to Change the Future type of thing?
Yeah. How does the word onboarding sound for that, just generally? Does that feel too like McDonald's?
Sounds a bit IT company speak, doesn't it?
You're not sure what it means. Just like helping people come on board what like we're doing sort of thing. I think I sort of nicked the word from Trello. I quite like apps and sort of web platforms that use their own tool on themselves and Trello has about, I don't know, a couple of hundred staff, and they use Trello itself to onboard new staff members of Trello. So it's just like snazzy list software. If no one's seen it, you just make nice lists in a really visual, organized way and add attachments and can structure it. And yeah, this seemed quite smart kind of way of like, this is how we do stuff, learn about us here, watch this here, phone this person.
We're out of time, aren't we, Andrew?
Cool, yeah.
I haven't been the best of facilitators.
Yeah, yeah, nice.
Yeah, great job.
You,
Really
yeah.
appreciate it.
So we trying to rush through the rest of it, or yeah, as needed?
I really liked when Greg like goes. I really liked it last time, or one time when he was just like, what do we want to do? Do we want to just ask the question, like skim, just ask, like look at what's on there, work out where people are at. Do we want to end quite soon? I would be potentially up for another 5-10 minutes, but otherwise we'd like to park stuff, I think, personally.
So we were just talking, the next point was about bringing people into the workforce group. Interested to know what kind of greeting, introduction, if any. Can we better celebrate their involvement and support them to find their way into the community?
Actually, that is quite relevant to what you were saying there.
Yeah.
Like, that sort of, how do we not just add people? Like, there's lots of Facebook requests to the Change the Future workforce group on Facebook, and I'm just interested, like, do we do enough? Do we do as much as we could to sort of welcome them in and help them understand what the hell we're doing and how to be involved? It feels like a big important question that there's no point rushing, I feel personally.
And maybe even but going back to the last point, it's that will come with formulating that whole process of what CTF is. Okay.
Is it worth us just like seeing if there is anything else on there in those last handful of things that really jump out to any of us? It's like, yeah, I'd really like to talk to that now.
Not the last one.
Haha, Stefan's thing in there. It's nice, I think. I mean, this, if we were to talk about anything else, I think that would be something. I don't know if that would make sense without me kind of framing it. But,
it makes very little sense.
So these are documents that I've written. I've started these, and some of them have already sort of started to invite contributions from other people. Sooner or later, at some point, we either adopt these or not. Otherwise, it's a little bit of a waste of time to like create a document if we don't have any way of actually like approving it.
Can you not just do it on Lumio? So where the proposal is the document, and then people just either agree or.
So yeah, I guess it's just that's it basically. Yeah.
So
that's.
Can we do that? Is everyone happy for us to do it on Lumio? Can we decide that now? Is that what you'd like?
Yeah,
a decision now?
I think so. Yeah. So I guess we would. The way of doing it would be write something, actively invite input and collaboration, and then once it feels like it's kind of settled a little bit and we like it, especially the original author is happy with it and stuff, then we'd have like a separate discussion in Lumio, I guess, for just can we formally approve this? Yeah, that feels good. And then we could even sort of screenshot that and stick it into the document to kind of like prove, you know, this has been actually, we've got consensus that we all agree with this document. That feels like a snazzy way to do stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'll take an action point. Yeah, to create that topic on Lumio for approving documents. So I guess normally that's a role that would that's a task that sort of a board of trustees would do in a charity, or board of directors would do in a company. One of them or a few of them would draft a document, a constitution or like legal thing or whatever, and then they would just.
That's you doing that, is it?
Yeah, I'll do that. Sweet. yeah, I would love input on this, man. Like, I really enjoyed making that. It's like, what is unusual about the way we work? Like, how different are we to sort of most companies or charities? What is it that defines us?
Well, much less hierarchical. Focus differently, I would have thought. Like, I mean, the profit motive is what drives pretty much all business, isn't it? So this isn't about that, is it?
Yeah, feels very much relevant.
Kind of wanted to ask a little bit about high-low, only having had a vague look at it, but yeah, because you seem quite excited about it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask what it was basically, and what the format or what it will achieve basically.
Oh, sorry, I'm still screen sharing.
High-low.
Forgot to turn it off. You will see now.
Like J-Lo.
So do I do like a 45 seconds thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so a 45-second presentation of Hilo. This is me logged in as Luke Flegg. This is the Change the Future group. It's got quite a nice little URL thing. The way Hilo formats things, I think, is really smart. So Change the Future has posts, events, projects, members, and about. So clicking on about, you can see what the hell we are and what we do. Members, all the people who are in the Hilo group. And then projects, and this is really nice, I think, because it's finally a nice sort of visual way of showing what active sort of projects exist inside Change the Future now. And you can just add a new one there. Then we can have events, show past events even. It's quite a nice layout. And then sort of discussion posts in here. So if I go inside a project like Democracy Space, then I think this is quite cunning, the way it formats this. So I can offer something, request something, put an intention or an event. So an event could be a meeting to discuss Democracy Space. And there's contributors, like people who are actually involved in stuff to do with this project. So it's almost like a circle, huh? It's like these projects represent circles and a level of autonomy. So yeah, I've created one request in here. I'm looking for 1 or 2 people to commit 5+ hours to make Democracy Space happen, and then people can respond to this request. As you can see, people already have down here. I would like to help facilitate it, and we've talked about it down here, and you can like it and stuff and mark it as complete.
That seems like a much more functional space than Facebook.
Yeah, and it's open source, it's free to use, and if you read their vision, it's very much, this isn't one of those new apps that's after 1 million people sign up, they start charging money. Like the guy Edward West, I think, who's behind it, I'm trying to get hold of him to actually have a proper video call between him and Change the Future, like we've done with Lumio, Assemble, Your Priorities, and Vocalize and stuff, because I think these resources are really valuable for other groups that are interested in
a lot of people are on similar things, aren't they?
Yeah.
So is the idea that if this works, to shut down other, because one of the things I struggle with Change Future is that there's so many different places where different information gets put, and they're not always the same in different places, or one's updated and others not, and I'm not very technologically able or interested, if I'm completely honest, so that definitely puts me off, and I'm wondering if it puts other people off as well. It would be good to have like one central thing, and I understand obviously we need to play around to find that thing, but I think we need to be really clear about, in that experimental process, which one are we sticking to at the moment. So where should people look?
Yeah, just thinking it could also just make all of those spaces valid for anyone to pick and choose if you have an admin to make sure it's all working smoothly.
Oh, so they would like duplicate content across them, sort of thing.
Yeah,
They'll all happen automatically.
I did work for an online company before, and it was kind of when Twitter and Facebook and MySpace and all that was still kind of new, and it was but as a business, it was very important to be broadcasting to each of those individually the same things rather than trying to consolidate it in one space. Whether or not that applies for Change the Future, don't they? Just a thought.
Yeah.
If there's a way of tallying them all up, then that would be great. But I just didn't think there was.
Yeah, there's not a way you can sort of post something on Facebook, like the link to this video call, and it appear in high-low as far as I know. But I mean, yeah, I think a smart thing that I wanted to share is that Teal for Startups, which is a really cool group Malik is involved with, and Victor, who's joined us before and stuff.
What's that?
Teal for Startups,
Teal.
definitely worth checking out. I reckon you especially would be really interested in the research done by a chap called Frederick Laloux. And he talks about the sort of colour spectrum representing the sort of paradigm shift of organisational structures evolving from sort of like tribal control, command and control, sort of bloody hierarchical top-down structures, to sort of slightly more humane and increasingly now sort of radically decentralized, self-governing, you know, holocratic sort of self-organizing sort of structures where there's much more freedom.
Holocratic.
Like holocracy. And
so we're looking for a holocratic rather than democratic one, ultimately.
I think they can potentially overlap a little bit, I think, potentially. But yeah, they're big things, I think. Big things I'm still just sort of looking into. But Teal for Startups were, what I wanted to say is they've got like a little sub team of nerds, basically, who play with tools like high-low and just sort of test it out rigorously together. And then they report back to the main group and say, we think this is the tool to use. So not everyone in the whole project is expected to keep flitting between one tool and another. They sort of do all the testing for everyone. So maybe we could do that. I mean, we've got a Facebook group called Facebook Tech. So I think probably just making better use of that to sort of say, hey, do you want to test this thing with me?
Yeah. It sounds like a good use of that page, Well, did we?
Loads, man. We've like monstered through a lot of stuff, haven't we?
Yeah, there was only that one other point, wasn't there? That
maybe we can get to it. Oh, tab. Oh, let me stop screen sharing. Because that's not very good. Oh, where are we? There. Sorry.
Vocalize, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I would quite like to drop those or part of them. Don't know about other people. Yeah, they're my points, and I'm not passionate about bringing them now.
Yeah,
I think we've got through loads of stuff.
I'm happy with that.
Cool. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So there are so many things to learn to use. There's still Vocalize and Lumio and Cora and high-low.
Yeah, we kind of. Yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah. Let's leave it open just because we can, and also let's.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much.
That's great. And thank you for facilitating.
Sorry.
And if anyone wants to check through minutes and add extra bits of information or links to things or whatever, I think that's always nice as well. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think we sort of stopped using Vocalize in favour of Lumio because it seemed, especially with the recent update, it seemed a bit simpler. It just had less of an interface on there. And actually, it turns out that our group seems to have been deactivated because the Vocalize team thought that we didn't need the information on there or something anymore. I think we can still somehow access it, but it's sort of, me and Alex were a bit miffed about it, sort of, everything got sort of like archived or something. It became a bit less, you can't find the group anymore and join it and stuff. So that felt a bit sort of like, oh, we didn't actually ask for that, and that was a bit assumed, and yeah, it just was a bit scary. We'd like to be asked. But yeah, so it's a cool tool. I mean, I think it's good for some things, but I think our main tools right now are Facebook, Lumio. We use Google Hangouts for video calls and Google Docs. Anything else? Yeah, just mostly just those two Google things, Zoom and Facebook. Yeah. Well, we're not sort of really formally using either. I think we've sort of agreed together to use it. I've just been playing with it and I think it looks really promising. It does some cool stuff. It also does a bit of like external cross-organizational collaboration stuff.
Cheer is something that's
Yeah, there's a big movement for Teal sort of organizations. Yeah, definitely super interesting. You've been learning about Teal stuff.
A little bit, yeah. It's a little bit like I don't know. Yeah, I'm struggling to get my head around some of it. But it's very interesting. Very interesting. Lovely to meet you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah.
Nice. We should work out another working retreat circle.
Yeah, we should.
Take over.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay, we'll do that.
I'm gonna stop this now.
See you later.